Look, here's a little Prague panorama journal, right? It includes information like what's, I guess, nothing really interesting. Anyhow, how much would you pay for this?
A couple of euros.
Like
something.
2 euros?
Yeah.
Would be a decent price, yeah. I paid 30 euros for this.
Oh, how come?
Oh my gosh.
Well, you'll have to watch this video to find out. I've just bought this newspaper or a leaflet for 30 euros on the main square in Prague. And I kind of predicted it. Prodáte mi noviny?
Noviny, jo.
A prodáte mi je? A kolik stojí?
750.
750, to beru. I'm buying a newspaper for 30 euros. Unbelievable. It's the most expensive newspaper in the world.
It usually gets changed every 3 months, so in 14th of June approximately, we'll be changing it, okay, like to a new title after that.
That's great. You got some great tips here.
Okay. Yeah, actually it's also written like all the rates, about the transportation even, which you usually suggest, I know.
Yeah, there's some great tips here.
You
I
know.
wonder where you got the tips for the tips. I must agree, this is the most expensive newspaper I ever bought.
That's true. I won't lie, to be honest.
You most likely still remember our videos regarding red umbrellas here on the square, which were sellers of hop-on, hop-off tickets for rides that will show you around Prague. And so they could sell the tickets here on the square, they were actually claiming to be charity because sales of products or any kind of tickets is prohibited on the square. Now we filmed about it, we pointed it out, and the city actually reacted. It took them many, many years, but they came up with a new city ordinance that prohibits connecting tour buses, tickets, and charity being put together. Therefore, these people could no longer do their business starting of 1st of March. And really, we came to the square with our camera on the 1st of March, and the red umbrellas were gone. And we were like, wow, this actually worked. But this is 2 months ago, and these guys came up with a new trick that you've noticed because hundreds of you guys send us pictures of red umbrellas hanging around on the square. And you were like, hey Janek, what's going on? You said in the video they're gone and they're back. Relax, chill, let me explain. Oh, and by the way, I actually kind of predicted this. We shot this back in March. Before we move to tomorrow, let me say one more thing because we're obviously debating with Honza, what will these guys do to stay, to remain on the square? What's the new trick they will come up with? And we actually came up with a few, and one that we published in our videos, and that is simple. They don't have to pretend to be a charity. They can sell newspaper because you can legally do that. And they can sell the newspaper for 30 euros and give you a free ride. So I just wanted to put this on tape before we actually move to tomorrow. I really hope my fortune telling is wrong, but if we're using this footage, most likely I'm right. Now on the 1st of March, we were here on the square with the mayor of Prague 1, with the official from the city hall himself, who was very proud to introduce the new law that got rid of the, as he said, fake charity street vendors. And really, they were no longer here, but they came back. And they're no longer charity, they're not collecting money to help someone, they're not sellers of tickets because that would be illegal. They are plain sellers of a newspaper because that is actually allowed. And they're selling the newspaper for 30 euros. Now, let me actually look into the city ordinance that regulates the markets and the squares because it specifically says this law does not apply to vending machines. They're not vending machines, but it also does not apply or prohibits the sales of newspaper through persons on the square. I'm sure you're thinking, like, these guys are really smart to come up with an idea to once again bypass the city ordinance and to outsmart the City Hall of Prague. They're geniuses. Well, not really. They only copied an idea that has been around for a while. This that I'm holding in my hand is yet another newspaper. This one is for 22 euros. Boat Trips Journal. And this one is not for the hop-on, hop-off rides, but it's for the boat rides on the river that is being sold by the guys dressed up as sailormen right in front of the Charles Bridge. And it is something that we've actually talked about on our video years ago. So I'm suspecting that these guys with the red umbrellas were actually watching our video and they were like, wait, that's a great idea. Let's do that. You're welcome. teaching tricksters how to trick since 2006. Janek, you once mentioned in a video that nobody can sell tickets on the streets and on the squares. Well, you're right about that. These guys are not selling tickets, rather they're selling newspaper, a journal, because that is allowed. But let's be fair, not to upset anyone, but I guess I'd go with the Boat Trips journal. Not only it's slightly cheaper, but you get a free beer in a newspaper. How cool is that? Speaking of sailors, let's speak of our today's partner and sponsor of this video, which is Saily, an app that you get to your phone, and through the app, you can get a local eSIM card of whatever country you are going to, which is really handy and useful. Don't take my word for it, listen to my buddy Honza. He just came back from California, where thanks to Saily, he saved a few bucks.
Parking in that street is 15 bucks for a day. Parking here is free. And I found that thanks to Saily. Well, there's an app for parking in LA, but you have to be online, so yeah, you get the gist. Now I go to the beach.
Do you also want to save a few bucks? Well, get Saily for your phone, and at checkout, use the code HONESTGUY to get 15% off, and then you can use your device wherever you are around the world. It is important to say that the guys with the red umbrellas slowly creeped back onto the square since they were banned. So first they just showed up without the umbrellas, sort of lured people into their office to sell them tickets. No newspaper back then yet. Then they had red vests. Then they showed up back with the umbrellas. Then they opened the umbrellas, and now on the red umbrellas they even have the text saying that they sell newspaper. Now, obviously, despite what their umbrella says, these guys, yes, are selling newspaper, but what's included in the newspaper is their tour on the little red bus that shows up once every 30 minutes here on the square. What's it like on the bus? Well, Honza actually experienced it for himself. You can check out our older video. Let's get serious for a moment. Or let's try. Is this actually a newspaper? Like, does it share any news? We are both journalists with Honza. Honza even studied in a school that is next to the journalist faculty. And no, this is not a newspaper. This is AI, almost close to AI generated stuff, where you won't really find out anything new. Let me read you a part here. Public toilets locations. Public toilets are available in major tourist areas, metro stations, shopping malls, and cafes. In other words, if you're not in a major tourist area, nor a metro station, nor a shopping mall, nor a cafe, there's no toilet. That's how we roll around in Prague. Most people just can't use a toilet. They're like, I really need to use the bathroom. I have to go to a metro station. But let's be fair, I did read the whole thing back and forth about 7 times while we're filming this, and I did find one piece of information that is useful. Since you paid 30 euros for it, you can actually find out that for 5 euros, you could have bought a full day ticket. That in Prague is valid for the transportation from the airport, is valid for the trams, is valid for the buses, for the ferries, for the funicular when it's running, for all the trams, for all the metro, did I mention that? And it's also valid for the night transportation for 5 euros. Wait, so I could have saved 25 euros? Yeah, but you wouldn't know this information because it's only available in this total hidden gem newspaper. The Prague City Hall is also mentioned in this new newspaper. At the very last page, they're talking about the Prague City Hall has passed a regulation that no longer allows us to conduct fundraisers, basically explaining that before this, or still now, they are mainly a charity organization collecting money for people who need it, and now they cannot. Well, that is an utter lie. The new law does not prohibit charity organizations to conduct charity works or collect money from people. What the law says in a nutshell is that you cannot provide tickets or services through a charity organization. In other words, you can give money to someone, to any organization, but they cannot say, look, we're gonna sell you a ticket, you pay for it, and part of it will go to a charity. That's what the new law prohibits. So if you guys want to stand on the square and collect money for whatever purposes you want, you can still do that. So they do continue in the next column saying, due to these new restrictions, we have decided to launch our new newspaper, Prague Panorama, which I'm holding in my hands. Basically, they're explaining on this one page what we did in this entire video. Which, if you're a foreigner and you'd read this one little column, It would almost seem like the bad city of Prague will not allow charities to operate in the city center. No, charities do operate in the city center, and both of us do give to charities. When there's a charity day and somebody comes up to you, you give them money, and you don't want a tour for it or a keychain. You just want to help the charity. They give the money to wherever, right? Now, the city did notice. We have received pictures of municipal police and the state police talking to these people, and I actually have information that the city is investigating and there is some sort of civil dispute. And before this is settled, they can still be on the square. Once it's settled, the city, the officials will decide, yes, they're just bypassing it. They're still selling tickets, not a newspaper, but for the result, we'll have to stick around. If you're positive about that the city will actually take some action, I am not. Because again, these guys selling the newspaper for the boats have been around for quite some time. So it would be kind of strange if the city would just notice thanks to these guys, right? When I mean, these guys are like by the Charles Bridge. They're not hiding somewhere. They're wearing Navy costumes. They're wearing Navy costumes. And these guys are wearing red umbrellas. Bottom line here being the city should stop like saying, no, you can't walk through here. No, you can't walk here. No, you just walk through here. Like, come on, take your stance. You're a big city. And you know, sometimes you just gotta step in and say, that's enough. Because what are these guys gonna do next? Show up as vending machines or as a petition stand? I don't wanna give them more hints. Honest tip and judgment from us as newspapers, these absolutely suck. And the tip, just use public transport. It only costs, as they stayed here, €5 for a day. And if you're over 65, it is free, which is not in the newspaper. If you're over 65, any form of photo ID will do it. Roam the streets of Prague for free, or you can walk. That's also free. I'll see you next week on another episode of The Honest Guide. Bye-bye. Newspaper, $7.50. €30 newspaper, anyone? And a Czech word at the end is, I guess, pretty obvious, and that is how to say a flyer, which is leták. Leták is a flyer. I would teach you how to say newspaper, which is noviny, but that's not a newspaper. So not noviny.